This is our spoiler review of The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. And, I don't know, you read the back and you're kind of like, nothing can prepare you for Nemesis. Her name is Nemesis, she's a diabolic, and you pointed this out, you're like, it sounds like somebody's first novel.
Not just it's their first novel, it sounds like it's their first novel, like what I wrote when I was 9 years old, and I thought I was so cool because I was using these names, you know, like Dante, you know, like, oh.
And you're totally right, and you're reading the back of this book and you're like, this can go one of two ways. This can be really good and surprise me, or it can be absolutely awful. And it's really good. So basically the plot is that we are many, many years in the future. Humans have expanded into the stars and we have exceeded our wildest dreams for technology, but we have also forgotten how to use our, how to make our technology. Scientific knowledge has been wiped out by a rogue supernova that took out our databases. So, you know, we have spaceships and we have machines that can change your appearance any way you want, modify your bones, cure basically any illness, but no idea how to fix this shit.
Ships are falling out of the sky randomly every once in a while. Nothing you can do.
Because, yeah, scientific learning has been outlawed because there is a religion called the Helionics who believe in worshipping the cosmos and that the cosmos don't want us to understand them. This is also a problem because some ships are creating wormholes, and when they malfunction they create a void which is getting bigger and bigger and eventually kind of swallowing planet colonies that they're trying to prevent that from happening. Nemesis is a diabolic, and a diabolic is a artificially engineered human who is meant to love only one person and protect them just to their life. So they will snap somebody's neck if they feel like they're being threatened.
It's the ultimate bodyguard. They will do anything to protect just you. If that means putting themselves in the line of fire, they won't even think about it.
If somebody makes like a veiled threat, the diabolic might just show up on your door and snap your neck.
They were talking about it, how like it was getting to the point where these diabolics would start killing people to further the success of their human. My human is going to be, you know, is like second in line to the throne, so if I kill X,
then, you know, they'll be probably in a better position and they'll be safer. The Emperor was like, no, we can't have this, so I am going to, like, just destroy all your diabolics. So Sidonia is Nemesis's person that she's supposed to protect, and she sees Nemesis as a person, not a thing, so she's like, listen, we're not gonna destroy Nemesis, we're just gonna give the Empire a body and say that we destroyed her. But Sidonia's family is also out of favor with the Emperor.
The father is known as a great heretic because he wants to bring scientific research back, and of course we can't do that because the religion is like totally and completely opposed to scientific experimentation and research because it's blasphemous, and we can never understand the cosmos because we are just mere mortals gazing upon its glory, blah 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 blah. And so the father, he's like collecting all this old tech and he's trying to research and try to understand it, and he sends information to an outlying colony which the Emperor hears about, and so he requests that they send Sidonia to the capital to be a hostage because the father screwed up, and it's kind of like, yeah, if you do it again, we kill your daughter.
It's an old political trick.
Yeah.
So Nemesis is like, clearly we cannot allow her to go there, so I am going to pretend to be Sidonia. So she learns kind of how to act like a human, but she doesn't have those human emotions yet. And she goes to the Emperor and she finds herself in this like political quagmire she now has to deal with pretending to be Sidonia. There are some great characters in this, some great situations that they end up getting in.
Can I say it now?
Yes.
Hamlet in space!
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Except it's not the father who's been killed, but the crazy uncle has the throne. And
the heir to the throne is crazy. He's pretending to be crazy in order to save his own life and to bide his time till the point where he can gather power and dethrone his uncle. But so his name's Tyrus, and he's just kind of walking around like, oh, I am a god, and just being nuts.
What I really, really loved about this book was the randomly clever inserting of fairy tales and like folk tales. When you first meet Tyrus, it's in a simulation, like kind of an online forum, and he's walking around naked, and like, you know, everybody else is in like these fancy like computer generated outfits and everything, and he's walking around naked, and everybody's going up to him being like, oh, your clothes are beautiful, and blah 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 blah. And Nemesis, who is masquerading as Sidonia, she's logged into her account, is just kind of like, the hell?
What the fuck is wrong with these
And like
people?
she interacts with him, and he realizes or sees easily that she is seeing through his facade, and so that's like their first encounter. I just loved it because it's of course the Emperor's new clothes.
Yeah.
And then later on, there's a dance that's the Scorpion and the Frog, which is another kind of like folktale, which I thought was really, really clever.
That one kind of gets dragged throughout the rest of the story.
Because she is the Scorpion, because she's
they're all
violent.
I don't know, they're all kind of scorpions.
Yeah, but she sees herself, because the entire book she's fighting against her nature. She's like, I have to be like political, but I just want to snap this person's neck. If I snap her neck, it's what's in my nature. I mean, I'd get the instant gratification, but I'd sink.
But at the end of it, though, she's like, we're all kind of scorpions, and we all have to kind of deal with the fact that we could stab each other at any second and all drown. She and Tyrus team up. This happens after the Emperor goes and just assassinates all his political rivals. Sidonia and her parents supposedly get killed. Sidonia ends up surviving. Just a whole bunch of other people, and he's like, oh, all these people who were sent here as hostages are now the rulers of their family, so they better stay in line because they know what happens if they piss me off. There's also the real power of the grandmother, Sigenna. She's pretty cool.
She can't ascend to the throne, so she's pretty much controlling all the strings from behind. She chose the current emperor because she can use him like a puppet, and she's pretty much killed off all of her children. It's explained that she had one natural born child, but the emperor wanted to have more children, which was really, really weird, because, you know, you're supposed to, like, not have many children, but he saw it as, like, a male thing, as they said. And so he steals DNA samples from her and, like, grows more children. So after, I think he died, she just goes and she kills all of them.
She's like, nope, I didn't want you to exist. And, like, she's really cool, like, that way. Like, you've got, like, finally, like, a mother without, like, obligatory motherly feelings towards people. She makes a great ultimate villain kind of thing. I loved her political move where the plots fall out and, like, you know, the Emperor finds out that Tyrus has been plotting against him. You know, they're all having it out kind of thing. And he's like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna have my Diabolics kill you, because the Emperor was like, I'm the only one who's gonna keep my Diabolics. And then she turns to the Emperor and she's like, actually, they're my Diabolics. And then has him his
murdered
head ripped
right
off.
there.
Yeah. I was like, that woman is so smart. That is an amazing trick. I loved it. That was one of those kind of twists that really convinced me that this was an amazing book. So the end of this book ends with Tyrus usurping Sigenna, finally getting the best of her. He and Nemesis fall in love, but Sidonia had reappeared at one point, and, you know, Nemesis was so happy to see her, but in a plot by someone, we're not sure if it was Sigenna's plot or if we're not, and we're not sure.
It kind of gets a little like The Big Sleep, where someone gets killed, but you don't know who killed it, and when they ask the director who killed them, the director's like, I don't know. Like, all these plots are going on at once, and Sidonia pretty much walks into the middle and just gets, like, taken out. You don't know if it's Tyrus, you don't know if it's the grandmother, you don't know if it's just a complete accident. Nemesis gets called into, like, it's kind of a marital ceremony. Tyrus is marrying this other woman at the behest of the grandmother, and so she has to anoint this woman with these oils. And so Nemesis is trying to do it, and she's failing, so Sidonia goes to do it, and they realize that it's poison. Sidonia succumbs very, very quickly, but Nemesis, because she's superhuman, does not.
Yeah.
And it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty...
Her skin starts molting.
So it was a pretty cool ending. I mean, she ultimately decides that she's going to believe Tyrus that he didn't kill Sidonia and that he's not, like, that awful of a person. But, you know, there's still that doubt in the back of your head. You're like, maybe he did, though. I'm like 60-40, I believe, that he didn't, but if he turns out he does in another book, if there's another book, then I would not be surprised either.
I'm kind of leaning 40-60. I kind of think he did it.
Yeah?
Because I think that, like, they talk about it, how, like, he's in love with her, and if it comes down to it, he's going to choose her over Sidonia. And he knows that if he doesn't get Sidonia out of the way, the Nemesis will never truly be free in his mind. And, like, he says multiple times throughout the book, I'm a jealous person. I get jealous. So I'm just like, you probably did it.
See, but the thing is, the woman he's supposed to be anointing, she didn't have instructions to get Sidonia to do it. So I feel like that's a pretty, like, shaky way to assassinate Sidonia. Because Sidonia wasn't even really supposed to be there. She, like, insisted on being there, you know what I mean? That's a pretty shaky murder plot.
To have the conversation that you don't see where Sidonia and Tyrus talk, and they talk about choices and everything, and so I think that's why she goes with. I think he played her. He's just like, no, we have to protect Nemesis. We have to protect Nemesis. And so she goes with Nemesis to protect Nemesis. There's so many people just doing random little tiny things. Like, this is like Littlefinger's dream.
She has a whole bunch of reasons why it could be him and a whole bunch of reasons why it might not be him.
And I mean, it could also just be the grandmother being like, okay, I'm going to like put this in her mind so that she sends for Nemesis to do it, and then I'm going to take out Nemesis, and oh, look at that, it accidentally took out the actual Sidonia, so why don't we tell Nemesis that it was Tyrus's plan, and then two birds with one stone.
Because Nemesis will freak out and go kill Tyrus.
Boom. So, like, it's a mess, but it's not a mess.
Like,
you know?
it's a very great, controlled, plotty mess.
Yeah.
The only thing that I found a little weird was, like, when Sidonia comes back, she's like, okay, she tells Tyrus, like, okay, so I'm not the real Sidonia, so when you take power, Sidonia has to become Sidonia again. I'm like, why does she have to be Sidonia again? Why can't he just, like, say, hey, this is now Terry, and Terry is going to be one of our new grandiloquy. Why does she have to go back to being Sidonia? She's not, like, particularly attached to her family name or anything like that. Like, why is this such a big issue?
In a society where you can change anything about your appearance, I agree with you. I just think it's because Nemesis isn't thinking clearly because love.
Yeah.
You know?
But, like, why did Sidonia not say, like, I really don't care?
I was upset about the dog.
Yeah, I was upset
Whenever
about that
you
too.
introduce a dog, I'm like, the dog's gonna fucking die. Like, that's let your main character get attached to something, and like, we're gonna just kill it because that's the way to like.
Yeah. Do you think Tyrus killed the dog?
No, I think it was an accident.
Because they were both sick at the same
They were
time.
both
What
sick
if
at
he
the
was
same
like
time.
poisoning the dog and he accidentally like...
Well, like, the way I read it was that because they both get sick and she, like, instantly reacted and killed the dog and the dog would have recovered. Like, that's why it, like, messed me up.
She killed the...
Yeah, she strangles the dog. Because she's just like, oh, she doesn't want it to suffer. And then she goes and it's like, oh, no, like, it's a planetary thing. We can cure him. Is your dog sick? And I'm just like, oh, fuck. I don't think he poisoned the dog. I think it was just, like, her, like, reacting.
Poorly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. Anyways. Like, there's just stuff you can pull apart with this book and discuss. And I love it. I'm okay if it's not a sequel, but I wouldn't mind a sequel because you have, like, a character now in ultimate power and that doesn't... You never get characters climbing their way.
I don't really want a sequel. I want it to stay completely ambiguous because if we find out who did it, that just kind of I feel like it's gonna ruin it for me. I don't want to know who did it. I want to end this off with, you know, like the possibility of, you know, Tyrus going crazy and being controlling and psychotic and like another bad emperor, or be fine. I don't want to know.
But what if she like keeps the ambiguity through the whole rest of the series?
I don't know if you can do that, because eventually you need the payoff. Like, eventually, how many times are you going to say, hey, maybe he didn't kill her, you know, like...
Maybe he didn't do a whole bunch of other stuff over... I don't know. Nah, that's true.
Read it! Read this! It's fun. Read it. It's good.
Pretty cover. Yeah, so, tell us what you think of this book. Tell us if you've read the rest of her books, and if you hear about a sequel, let us know. Bye, guys.